So let's have a look at your written answers to your speaking questions. Okay, so starting from the beginning. So work or study. What work do you do? I work as a nurse at Soonchunhyang. I worked as a nurse for 8 years, university hospital for 8 years, but now I'm not working because I had to move to Michigan. Okay. How can we? Okay, so what work do you do? But I'm not. Yeah. All right. So I think you just need to turn that answer around, because the question is in the present tense, which is what work do you do? So if you remember what I said to you before about give a direct answer first and then an explanation afterwards. So the direct answer to the question is I'm not working at the moment because I had to work because I had to move to. Okay, so let me just let's just put that there like that. So now I'm not working because I had to move to Michigan. So rather than starting a sentence with now, which sounds a little bit strange, let's just say currently.
Currently.
I'm not working because I had to move to Michigan. But
in fact, what?
Previously, I worked as a nurse, blah 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 blah. Okay, so then you've given a direct answer to the question and an explanation of what you did before, and that fully answers the question. Yep.
Okay.
Right. So, do you like your job? Of course, I like my job. Working as a nurse. Okay. Not have.
Has.
Thank you. So has many benefits. Such as helping patients and caring.
Caring about.
No, not caring about.
Care.
Yes, I know. It's another preposition, not about. Caring for.
Caring for.
So what I do is whenever it's a phrase like this because the problem, as you said, caring about is it has a different meaning. You know, you care about your husband. Okay, but you care for a patient.
Care for, okay.
All right, so the word that's changing is the preposition. Yep.
Right.
So and it's very difficult to get those prepositions right because there's no logic about why caring about your husband or caring for a patient. Why is it for? Why is it about? Don't ask me. There's no logic to it. You've just got to learn it as a phrase. Okay. So in the context of your sentence, if you learn it like this, so when you review what you've written here with the corrections, that's how you should learn it. As you know, so I always put those phrasal verbs, because that's a phrasal verb. It's a phrase that we have to learn. I always put them in purple so that they stand out. You know, like grammar corrections, I put in green, or if I suggest a new word, I put it in green. But because I know that prepositions are so difficult to learn, if it goes with a noun or if it goes with a verb, I always put them in purple so that you can easily identify this is something I need to learn together in this context. Okay.
That's cool. Thank you.
Right. So and caring for them, it's worth it. Plus, I can earn a lot of money from there, so I like my job. Okay. So the rest of it's fine. Okay. So why did you choose to do that type of job? In fact, when I was younger, I was hospitalized with scarlet fever. Back then, I saw the nurses were very kind and enthusiastic. Okay, so again, there's a preposition missing here. Enthusiastic.
Passion.
No, the word's right. The word is right, but it needs a preposition. It needs a preposition after it.
In their job.
In this case, it is about.
Enthusiastic about their job.
Yeah. So we almost always say that we're enthusiastic about something. You know, I'm enthusiastic about football. Okay, so it's always enthusiastic about. Yeah? Okay. It was very impressed to me. No, no, not it was very impressed. It impressed me. It impressed me, not impressed to me. It just impressed me. Okay, so that should be it impressed me.
It impressed me.
So I decided that I want, okay, that I, well, you're making a decision at that time. You decided that I wanted to work at a hospital. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So I mean, overall, the sentences are good. Actually, the sentences are good. Normally, I have to do a lot more hard work when I'm correcting people's English. So this is good. Okay.
But actually, while I typing the answer, I was thinking about my answer, and the typing is very easy rather than talking.
Yeah, because you've got time to think. Yeah,
Mm,
that's right. That's true. That's true for everybody. I mean, you know, the only other language I've ever learned is French, because the UK is right next door to France, and so the first language that we learn is French, and then if we learn another one, it's going to be German or Spanish or something like that. You know, that's the education in the UK. So I know what it's like to try and speak another language. You know, writing is okay because you've got time to think about it, but speaking you don't have time. You've got to come up and it's practice. It's just practice. That's all it is. The more you practice, the better you'll get. But you know, this still helps because you have to think about it to write it down, and you see the corrections, and so hopefully it's all part of the education process. Yeah. But in terms of the overall answers are very good. It's just a little bit of detail. It's not a huge amount. It's just a little bit of detail. So it's good. You're in a good spot. You're not in a bad spot. You're in a very good spot.
thank you.
Right. Okay. So hometown. Okay. So what's the name of your hometown? My hometown is Ulsan, which is located. You're trying to use located as a verb. Located isn't a verb. Okay. So which is located. Okay. So again, you need a preposition here. Yeah. In the east coastal area. I grew up for 20 years.
Can I say that?
You could say, okay, so not I had, just I grew up there for 20 years. It has a gorgeous view of the mountains and ocean. Okay, that's all right. Okay, is that a big place or a small place? Ulsan is one of the metropolitan cities in South Korea, so the population is over 1.1 million. Also, it is a well-known industrial city. Okay, industrial city such as Hyundai and SK. Okay, with an industrial city with companies such as. Okay, all right. All right, so let's move on. Maths. Do you think mathematics is important? Oh, what's happened here? My page just jumped. Absolutely, it's important because it is related.
Is related.
Okay, it is related. Okay, related to. So again, that's related to. It's almost always related to. For example, when I go to the supermarket, I have to calculate maybe the price of things that I want to buy. Okay, are girls generally good at mathematics? Well, I don't think so. It really depends on their ability. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter any gen. Okay, so we just need to turn this one around again. So, some people are really good at mathematics, but others probably hate it. Hate it. Okay. Even me. All right. So, so. Okay, let's just. I don't think. I don't think it really depends on their. Okay, on their gender.
It really depends on their gender.
Some people are really good at mathematics, but others probably hate it, even me. Okay, so that's your direct answer to the question. I don't think it really depends on their gender, and then this is the extra explanation. Yep. So it's your words. I haven't really changed the words. I've just moved the words around. Yeah. So you've got the answer. It's just in the wrong order. So. Right, market. Are there many street markets in Korea? There are a bunch. There are a bunch. That's very American to say that there's a bunch of street markets. You can have a bunch of bananas. You can't have a bunch unless you're an American, and then you can have bunches of everything. Okay, so I'll allow it because it's an American phrase and you're living in America. So there are a bunch of street markets in my country. One of my favorite street markets, because it's one of, plural, is Hongdae Street Market because it has unique items such as jewelry and shoes. Okay, all right. What are the differences between street markets and supermarkets? Okay, not the most difference.
Biggest?
Yes. See, you knew. So why did you write most? So the biggest difference is price when it comes to supermarkets with an S.
Markets?
Because you're talking about them generally, and if you look at the question is also in the plural. So you're referring back to the question. So when it comes to supermarkets, which is what's in the question, each item, okay, if it's each, it's singular, has a price tag. Which is fixed. On the other hand, in the street market, we can negotiate the price when people buy things. Okay, all right, good answers. Right, animals. Have you ever seen wild animals before? Of course, I have seen. Oh, you've corrected it before. I'm sure it said. I'm sure when I glanced through the document earlier on, it said tuttles.
Yeah. So why I do that? Because I knew the turtle word, so I just changed.
Oh, I was looking forward to teasing you about tuttles. I was going to ask you what a tuttle was.
Oh.
Right. Okay. So I have seen a sea turtle when I went to how do I pronounce that? Hanauma Bay? Hanauma Bay. Okay. Okay, in Hawaii. While I was snorkeling, I saw the sea turtle under the sea. I knew that under the sea turtle's movement. Okay, you knew that it was, or that you discovered that it was, or you found that it was.
Well,
you already knew that before.
I knew the fact that is on the land, the turtle is very slow. The movement is very slow. However, under the sea, under the water, it can move very fast.
Right.
So I knew that the fact
What, or you knew what you knew that before you saw it, or you knew that because you saw it?
I knew that before.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So because if you knew, yeah, because in that case, what you're saying here is correct. If you only discovered it by seeing it when you were snorkeling, then I would say change the word new. But because when you say new, it means you knew it already before. Yeah. Okay. At that moment, I was excited. Okay, good. All right. So look, no corrections on that answer. Good answer. See. Right, okay, so do you like to go to the zoo? Well, to be honest, I have mixed feelings because they're mixed, so it has to be plural. Otherwise, it couldn't be mixed because it would be only one. Okay, about that, what I mean is that I like to go to the zoo because they're very cute. What, zoos are very cute?
Animals.
Yes, the animals are very cute. And there are educational programs. However, when I see the animals trapped in cages, I feel sorry for them. Okay, good answer. Very good. Right. Any questions about what we've done so far?
Mm, some question like it's very short.
Yep.
Two sentences. Is it?
Oh, you mean your answers are your answers are very short?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but that's okay because it's part one. Okay.
Uh,
In part one, you give a. That's what I'm saying. In part one, you give a direct answer, and you give some extra information, an explanation. That's it. Yeah. If you try, it depends on the examiner. That's one of the problems with IELTS. It really depends on the examiner. Most of the examiners now, they've reduced the amount of time they spend on part one, so they only expect you to give a direct answer and an explanation. And what they've done is the extra time that they used to give in part one now all goes into part three, because that's where they're really testing your English, is in part three. So part one isn't really going to have a very big, unless you make a complete mess of it, part one isn't going to have a big impact on your score. If you answer the questions really badly, then they're just going to say, okay, this person's a 5 or a 5.5, and that's it. If you, as long as you answer the questions reasonably, they'll quickly pass on to part two, because that's where they want to hear you speak. And they're really looking at part three, because that's where they're going to give you your detailed score.
Okay.
Okay, so really, part one is just for you to relax and warm up and start talking. It's just a therapy process.
Okay, therapy process.
Right. Okay. So let's have a look at part two question. Describe a large company that you are interested in. Okay. So I'd like to talk about my favorite company called Korean Air. It has a variety of domestic and global air route. Okay, if it's a variety, then it must be plural. So it must be routes. Yeah.
Is it correct? Like, can I say the air routes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. All right. So I love travel all over the world. I love to travel. I love to travel. All over the world. So my sister. Okay, I think that must be so my sister and I believe. Planed. I think you mean planned.
Planned.
Planned, yes. Okay, so planned. My sister and I planned. Okay, to go to Spain for 2 weeks. Back then I had a dream which was using Korean Air, because that is, okay, it is maybe our national airplane company. So I could communicate with the Korean crew. they're well known. Okay, they're well known for.
For. Well known for.
Yep, for great service. For the customer. The day on that day, maybe. Yep. That day I requested. Right, okay. That day I requested an. Now you say sheet. Do you mean seat?
Yes, sit, not shit.
Okay, an exit seat. And they gave us it. Yeah, okay. It was perfect because the flight time was over 14 hours. Also, I got a headache when the airplane took off, so they gave me some pills for my headache. After an hour, I felt more comfortable. Lastly, after the trip, I checked my luggage was broken.
I found.
Yes.
I found. Or noticed.
Either one, but I found is okay, or noticed. Yeah. So I found. Okay, maybe found that my luggage was broken. So they rewarded, not rewarded, they rewarded right away for me. So they.
They told me that was their fault. So they gave me some cash for.
Oh, was it? Okay, so but rewarded is not right. My brain's a bit slow. I'll have to think about that one. Okay, so their attitude always makes me happy. Okay, I think made. So you still fly with Korean Air. So their attitude still makes you happy. Yes. Okay. Right. So that's correct. So since the Spain trip. Shouldn't that be the Spanish? Shouldn't that be the Spanish? I suppose it's okay. Let's just try since the trip to Spain. Otherwise, it would be the Spanish trip. Trip to Spain. Not the Korean Air, just Korean Air. Compensated.
Compensated. Okay.
So they compensated me right away. Yes, that's a better word.
Compensated. That's a good word. I never used compensate.
I wish I'd thought of it too. I wish I didn't have to rely on Google. But anyway, I knew. At least I recognized it when I saw it. Okay, all right. So okay, it's a good story. So if you looking at it in more detail, what are the errors in there? Again, sometimes it's they're well known for. So well known for. What I should do there is actually put that in also in purple like that. Well, they are well known for great service that day. Okay, so sometimes it's your articles like the Korean, when to use the Korean crew or Korean Air. You're still not certain about your articles. An exit seat. Possessive like my headache. So it's small. It's a variety of. So your articles are still. Did you practice your articles? Did you use the English test store to practice your articles? I'll take that as a no. You must practice your articles. Okay, so I shall ask you that every day. You'll have to think every day. You'll have to think of another excuse why you haven't practiced your articles. Just call all of my other students because they never practice them either. They still don't think it's important, but it is important, and it's a simple thing. Once you've cracked it with the articles, it's a whole annoying thing that I have to keep correcting and changing all the time. And it's much easier for you to correct it than it is for me to correct it 300 times and to say to you every time, have you swatted up on your articles? It's better that you just do it. Really, seriously. And in future, what I do with some of my students, after many weeks or months of teaching them, I make them change it. I say, get the articles in there, and I make them change it online. And they know it, but they're just too lazy to put them in the first place. So, right. Okay, let's have a look at your part 3 questions. Did we do? Oh, did we? This is where we finished up. So you've answered the questions here. We didn't actually do these, did we? Before?
We didn't, yeah.
Okay. So in that case, I'm gonna ask you the questions first, and then I'll look at what you've written afterwards. Okay. So what are the differences between a big company and a small company? Don't read it. Just give me the answer. You're reading it. I can see your eyes moving.
Well, one is the biggest differences is the scale. In a large company, connect with global area. On the other hand, a small company connect just small area, like such as domestic area. And secondly, working people. A big company workers a lot of people. However, the small company, people, a few people working there.
Okay, all right. So you've all that's okay. That sort of defines what's a big company and a small company. Yes. You've also mentioned here about welfare. Tell me about the welfare.
The welfare is also different between big company and small company. In a big company, have a lot of benefits like childcare or extra money for development by themselves. However, small company doesn't have welfare, probably.
Okay, I think that it may be true. It may even be generally true, but I don't think that applies to all small companies. I mean, for example, when you say about a small company not being, about a small company always being domestic, I think you can have specialist small companies that are international. If they produce a very specialist item, it might be in demand all over the world. It may be in demand all over the world, but there might actually be a small demand for it, but it is global. So, like for example, for medical equipment, it might be a small company that produces it, but it's needed in different countries. So that could be one. Like I don't know. For example, a company that makes like the lasers for doing eye surgery or something like that. That might be a small company. It probably isn't, but it could be. I think for some specialists, also a lot of tech companies are actually these days are quite small. And what they do is they work on projects with the larger companies, and so for example, a lot of tech companies, IT companies, are actually based in Israel, and they're very small companies in Israel, but they do a lot of projects for the big tech companies in America. So like Microsoft, a lot of the Microsoft development, like for like things like Windows 10, is done in Israel in a small company. Yeah. So I think yes, it's possible to generalize, but I think it's also possible to see that it might not be the case.
Right.
Of course, the definition of a big company or a small company is going to be the number of employees. I think that's generally accepted. So
Mhm.
so if you're looking at so sometimes they talk about SMEs. Have you ever heard of SMEs?
SMEs.
Yeah, it's small or medium enterprises.
Uh,
Okay, so a small enterprise might be 1 to 10 employees or something. A medium enterprise might be 11 to 399 employees, and a large enterprise might be 400 employees plus.
um,
Okay, so that is a definition of company size. But yeah, but then that just gives you the definition of them.
mhm.
Yes, I think you're right about the benefits. Um, so you said okay. So what you've written here is a little bit better than what you were explaining to me. You said that they get extra benefits compared to a large company, such as doesn't have okay, such as support. Okay, a childcare. It might also be healthcare. Okay, it might be that you get different levels of healthcare between a large company and a small company, possibly. Again, it depends. It depends on how profitable a small company is. If they're very specialist, but they want to stay small, they could be very, very profitable. So I don't think it's always that you're not going to get those benefits. I think if I was trying to break this, if I was tackling this question, I wouldn't do it just on size. I think I'd probably do it. I'd talk about a small company in order to answer the question. I'd talk about something like Hyundai or Samsung as being a large company because everybody recognizes the name of those, and I would use that as my example for a large company and talk about what they provide, what kind of services they provide, what kind of benefits they provide their workers. And if I was talking about a small company, I'd probably change it a little bit and talk about family companies. So
Mm,
so like a family business, like a bakery, or some kind of small business like a hair salon, or some kind of very small
cafe like that.
coffee shop or something like that.
Mhm.
Or restaurant. I would give that as an example of a small, and then I think it's much easier to talk about the differences
Right.
rather than only talking about large and small. So if you were a worker for if you weren't part of the family but you worked for a family company, then I'm sure the things that you're saying there about the lack of benefits, I'm sure would absolutely be true. Because a family company isn't, they may give themselves benefits, but you're not part of the family, so they're not going to give them to you. They might not, eventually they might, but it might take a long time. Whereas if the day that you start working for Samsung, probably you get all of the benefits.
Mm, then explain the small company is I think blah blah and
Well,
big.
I would just say if I, when you could say them, when I think of a small company, I think of a family company, and then you can just talk about it. Yeah,
Uh,
tell the examiner what you're thinking about,
mm,
and define it. Once you've defined it, he can't say no, you're wrong because you've given
by
him your
myself.
idea.
Oh,
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah.
I
So,
understood. Yeah.
all right. And when you talk about, so do you know anybody that works for Samsung or one of the big corporations in Korea? Do you know anybody that works for them?
Samsung.
Mm.
I don't know much about the Samsung, but I know about Hyundai.
Okay, all right. So do you know somebody that works for them, or did you work for them?
My father worked at the Hyundai industry.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so just used without mentioning your father, although you could mention your father, but just mention the sorts of things that he got as a normal part of his package for working for Hyundai, and I don't know, but I would guess, I'd be very surprised if he didn't, that he probably gets discounts on the products.
Right. That's
So he
true.
gets a cheap car. What a lucky guy. Okay. Uh, So I mean that's a big difference. If you work for a big company like that, they can give you good discounts on the products that you make or that you sell or something like that. So I think so. And companies like Hyundai and Samsung, they have so many different divisions within the company. So they make cars, they make trucks, they build ships, they probably do construction, they probably do many, many things that I've got no idea about. I know that Samsung owns hospitals.
Yeah, right.
So does Hyundai also own hospitals?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so that's another huge benefit that if you are an employee of Hyundai and you fall sick, presumably, I would guess you go to the company hospital and you probably get either free healthcare or cheap healthcare or something.
Cheap healthcare or something.
Yeah. Okay, so there you've got enough. There's enough information there for you to come up with a story that you can talk about. That you can answer the question. Use what you know. Use what you know.
Mm,
Talk about the things that you know well. And although you don't want to make it personal because it's asking you the differences between a big company and a small company, so don't say, well, I work for Hyundai and this is what I get. It's your father, but don't mention it's your father. Just say I know that Hyundai does these things or that these things are available. So you turn it into a general answer, not a personal answer. Yeah. Okay, so are there any big companies in your hometown?
of course, there are a lot of big company in Ulsan. I know a company which is Hyundai Industry company. Um, the company.
I think in this case, I'll just interrupt you. I've just read a little bit of your answer. You're saying that your father worked for.
Yeah.
I think in that case, because it's your hometown, I think it's fine. I think you can say you can use that information. Yeah. I think in the first question, it's better to be general, but when it's about your hometown, now your hometown it is more personal. So if it's your father that worked there, I think that's okay. Okay, it's just that in the first question it was just asking generally about big companies and small companies, and it doesn't say career, it doesn't say your hometown. It could be globally, it could be all over the world. But I think once they talk about your hometown, then of course you can use the information that you know best, which is about your father. So sorry to interrupt you, but yes, I think what you've written there is right. So yeah.
Okay.
So keep talking to me.
Okay. Many people work at Hyundai automobile company or Hyundai industry company. Actually, my father worked at the Hyundai industry company for 35 years. So the company supported my siblings and I tuition until the five time that we graduate university. It really helps us and many people I forgot the words, but really liked it.
Okay. I think the only thing I'd say is I think you're overthinking your answer. I'm sure if I just asked you the question, if we were just having a conversation, I said, "Oh, well, tell me about your hometown," I'm sure you would tell me all of the things that you're thinking so hard about at the moment. I'm sure you'd just tell me them very casually. But I think what you're doing is you're thinking very hard about how to answer the question. I think you've got to and it's the same with most of my other students. They all overthink their answers. No, seriously, it's the biggest problem that all of my students have got, and because of the problem that brings is it brings hesitancy, because you're thinking so hard about what you're going to say next. And I don't get the impression that you need to. I think you could actually just tell me these things without thinking about it too hard. There may be the occasional word that you want to get the right word, but I really think that you could just tell me these things without any hesitancy. So don't overthink it. Just give me the answers. Okay, so what are the advantages of working in a big company?
Well, there are a lot of advantages of working at a big company. Many people probably very confident working at a big company because the big company is well known for people. Also, their income is very higher rather than small company. That's why people want to work in a big company. Secondly,
I think you've got the answer here that you've gave me previously, which is about that you were supported for all your tuition.
yeah.
So you've already given me that part. Okay. Okay. Advantages of working in a big company. Okay. Well, I would say that yes, I think being proud is that an advantage? Being proud of the company that you work for. I suppose it's in a way it is, but is it? I don't think in practical terms it may be you may feel personally proud about it, but I'm not sure that that's actually an advantage of working there. I mean, for example, the first company I worked for was Shell. You know, Shell, the petroleum company. You know, Shell, the gasoline company. That was the first company I worked for when I left
Oh,
school.
I like Shell.
Working on their ships. I worked on the ships. That's when I left school. And there was a certain amount of pride in working for Shell because it was one of the best shipping companies, one of the biggest oil companies in the world. So there was a little bit of pride there. But was that an advantage? It may be an advantage later on in life when you say, well, I worked for Shell for 3 years. There's an advantage there. But actually, in terms of when you're working there, I don't think there's much of an advantage in being proud about it. I think the advantages are in the condition of the ships that I was working on. They were very nice ships. The food was very good. The conditions were very good. The pay was good. So those things are an advantage. The reputation of the company, if you apply for another company, then it's important because if you can say that you worked for Hyundai or Samsung or Shell or whoever it is, then the next company that you go to will say, oh yes, if you've worked for them, we want you to work for us because you'll know some good ways of doing things. You'll be well trained and all of that kind of thing. You'll have good experience. You'll have lots of knowledge. Yes, we want you to come and work for us. But I think pride. I don't think pride is an advantage. I think it's all of the other things that you get from working for a company that are an advantage. But I would say that work in a big company, one of the advantages of working in a big company, especially when you compare it with a small company, like a family company, is that usually, or almost always, all the rules of the company are very clearly written down. So they tell you how to dress. They tell you what time you got to go, how much time you're supposed to spend at work. Everything is written down, and it's all very clear. Everything's clear about working for the company. The contract's very clear. As I say, you know, the salary, when you're going to get promoted, and all of these things, how you get promoted, everything is very clearly labeled. Whereas if you work for a small company or a family company, usually there's nothing written down. They make it up as they go along. And if it's a fairly big family company, if you speak to like the owner of the company, he'll tell you one thing. And 3 days later, you speak to his cousin or his nephew or somebody else or his wife. You say, look, I just want to clarify something. And they'll tell you something different because it's not written down. So I think the rules of the company tend to be very clear in a large company. I think that's definitely an advantage, is when everything's very clear.
Mm-hmm.
Is it difficult to get a promotion in a large company?
Well, in large company, I think it depends on people's ability. What I mean is that at, even small company, they have different promotion system. So if people cannot did not try to achievement, they gonna fail in the promotion tests. However, if keep trying to development for their ability or skills, they might be past the promotion test.
Okay, so when you say about a promotion tests, I've had this described to me before, that in a company like Samsung, if you want to get promoted, so if you want to get promoted, you have to pass a test and then you get promoted. Is that actually very common then in Korea, that to get promoted you have to pass a test?
I don't know much about the promotion test, but one of my friend's husband working not a big company. He worked at small automobile company, but they have a promotion tests once a year. So he had to. The first thing is the qualification for the testing promotion tests, and the second thing is pass the test.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a strange system. I mean, I'm pretty sure that you won't find that in America. Maybe in the military. Maybe in the military you've got to pass a test to get promoted in the military. Like in the army or the navy or something. I think it's possibly there you do. But in most companies, I've never heard of a company where you have to pass a test to get promoted. So perhaps in nursing, I don't know. Maybe in nursing, I don't know.
We're not.
No. So most companies that I know, it's either it's based on performance rather than passing a test. So if I'm very good at my job, and I carry a huge workload. So like when I was working in Hong Kong in a big office in Hong Kong, and I got promoted, I didn't get promoted through passing a test. I got promoted because they recognized that I had some talent, and they didn't want me to go to another company. And they could give whatever the work was that they gave to me. I always said yes, okay, I'll try, I'll do what I can, and I usually produced something that was useful for them, and I would continue to improve it. And so whatever they threw at me, I did the work, and so from that point of view, that was like perfect. That's what they wanted, somebody who would try to do anything and would do a reasonable job. So that was in the company I worked for. That's what they wanted. So after 2 years, I got promoted in Hong Kong, which was faster than anybody had ever been promoted there before. Which caused a little bit of a problem, because there was all these other people who said, well, I had to wait 4 years for that. I had to wait 5 years for that. And I got, but too bad. That's, but then I didn't get promoted again for the next 5 years. So it sort of leveled out later on. But it was based on talent. It was based on talent and effort and output. So, if I did a lot of hard work, then I would get promoted. So,
okay.
But it's different in Korea. So I think the answer that you've got still stands. I think I would just say in Korea, or in the large Korean companies, you have to pass a test. And I think it's not just passing the test. From what I heard about Samsung, it's not just about passing the test, it's about being top of the test. So if there are 4 or 5 people who are maybe I've been identified that they could get promoted, then they have to compete with each other on the test, and whoever gets the top score gets promoted. Yeah. Okay, so maybe in America it's slightly different. I think I'm thinking back to some of the American films that I've watched about law companies or something like that. I think in America they do it. They interview people for a promotion. So it's not a test. I mean, in a way, you could say it's a test, but it's more based on the interview. So if you're good at interviews, you can get promoted, which is, again, I prefer the way I got promoted. I think if you work hard all year and you do what the company wants and they recognize that you're worth having, they say, okay, we don't want to lose this guy, let's promote him. I think that's the best way, because some people are very good at passing a test, some people are very good at doing an interview, but they might not do anything else for the rest of the year. They might just sit back and say, well, I got promoted, I don't need to do anything.
So if you found this IELTS class useful, informative, or entertaining, please give it a like, subscribe, and share with other people who you think might benefit from these live IELTS class videos using actual examination topics. Most of the students participating in these classes are now living their dream in English-speaking countries around the world. If you want classes with me, you can contact me on X, LinkedIn, MS Teams, or Viber. Details are given in the description below or on the About page for this channel. Thank you.